Okay, hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in the previous video we have discussed about Kubernetes architecture, that worker nodes, it has master nodes, control plane, everything we discussed, right? So now you know the basic architecture of the Kubernetes cluster. Now what we will do in this video, we will discuss a very basic and important thing in Kubernetes, that is objects, or we can say it is Kubernetes objects. We will discuss about Kubernetes objects. So what is Kubernetes objects? Like everything in a cluster, or we can say every every resource in a cluster is termed as object. Okay. So like we have cluster. This is our cluster. hmm? This is our cluster. It have master node, worker nodes. Okay. Now what it have? It will have our applications running the container that we call them as pods. It will have something called as uh, service accounts. We will discuss about each of these in video, but like each resource in a cluster is called as service account, is called as objects. Some many are there, like we can say something like firewall rule, right? So everything is a in a cluster is a object, right? So two important things are there. Right? First is how we create these objects. How to create these objects. You might have remembered in the previous video I have discussed about this Cube API server, which is a major component of the uh, master node, right? What it does is it acts as a mediator between which the resources engineer DevOps person wants to create and the real resource that is being created, right? So I have also explained you, like every resource means every objects we have there, so service accounts, firewall, pods, is written in a code. That code is of YAML format. Okay, so this YAML format is given to this Kube API server, then it generates these objects, then objects are created. So if someone asks how we create that objects, for each object we create something kind of YAML file. We will discuss about the YAML file, about the format, how it's being created, but general term is this: we create a YAML file, it goes to Kube API server, and then objects are created. Okay. Now few important things are, each object each object has two important things. Let's say we go to objects. What it can be: object can be pod, deployment, namespaces, service accounts, etc. There are many. These are some important ones. Okay. So each of these objects has two important things. First is spec component, and second is status. Means we have a YAML file for pod, so we have YAML file for deployment, YAML file for namespaces, YAML file for each of the resources. So if let's say this is a YAML file, the two major sections are there. One is spec, second is status. Okay. What is spec? What is spec? Spec is the desired state that a user wants to uh, create object. Okay. Means spec defines what are the configurations of each of one of the objects. Okay. What is the status? This is this is updated by Kubernetes. This is not updated by the developer. This is not a YAML file. This is not written by the user itself. This is status by Kubernetes itself. This is who writes spec? User. That user write that I want this specifications of a object, but status user doesn't write. This is updated by the Kubernetes in the, okay. So Kubernetes, what it can be, like it can be success or any status, like, or it has failed, means the object has been successfully created or some error occurred in creation of objects. Okay, hope you understood the concept. Now we will further go on to each of, we will discuss this YAML file. Okay, what is this YAML file and complete syntax of it. I have pasted this, I think, here. Yes, huh. So you are seeing here, you are seeing this is the YAML file. Okay, uh, so you see this is the API version. API version means this API version is needed for by the Cube API server. This is the Cube API server. Okay, which version it is? What is deployment? This is kind. Deployment means it is a object type. What type of object or resource type that you want to create in the cluster. Metadata. This information, this information uniquely identifies a resource in cluster. Okay, means it is used by cluster to uniquely identify a resource. And this spec we have declared, we have previously discussed also, like what is spec. That's these are the configurations that user wants to create an object. Like name, it will be, we are creating a deployment here. Deployment name is this Nginx deployment. App is there, match labels. Then these are the template is there, this will be used for the these are the container specifications. Okay, app Nginx, this is the Docker image, this is the version, this is the port it is running. So what it is creating is, it is creating a deployment object. It is creating a deployment object. Deployment object. It has deployment. It has pods. So each of the pod, here we have, it is mentioned two, right? It is mentioned two. Replicas are two. So two pods will be created here, and inside these two pods, what will run? This Nginx. Nginx. These are Nginx container. Okay? Nginx container will run of the specified version at which port? At port number 80. Okay, so these we can say. Similarly for many uh, other resources, it is same, but only this kind and some syntax changes, right? And one thing important to note here is okay, let's go back to again Cube API server. This resides inside master node. You have a YAML file in local. This is in local, right? And here is cluster. You want to create a deployment here, but something needs to be there, na? Like how you will create. So one tool is there, kubectl. Cube controller is there. This is a command line tool, CLI tool. Okay, this, so you need you can install it from the browser, from its website. So when you set up this in local, some predefined commands are there that are used to. So this kubectl is used to interact with the Cube API server to create the objects. Like like we have created a YAML file. Let's say YAML file is here. It is mentioned, na? Here we have mentioned this deployment.yaml file is there. Okay, so if you want to create this file, how we will write is, in local we have this YAML file. We will go to where the kubectl is installed, and the command is kubectl apply -f file name. Okay, this file name is the YAML file of the object that we want to create. This is the command. So through this command, if we execute, our pods will be created here. So this is pretty much it. Hope you understood. And in the next video, we will discuss in detail about each of the objects, its syntax. Okay. So one thing I want to it's a humble request. If you are watching, please, if you are finding it is useful, please subscribe it and like the video. It gives me motivation to create more such videos again. Okay, thank you so much.